For those of you that don't know who we are, our lunch and learns are put on by the Access program through special programs and services. We provide accommodations for students with disabilities. And our topic today is mental health. I'll introduce myself. My name is Linda Puglisi. I am the coordinator for Access. And also we have with us the rest of the staff is Courtney Rasplica, our secretary, Mary Ariola, our instructional aide, Melissa Madison, our counselor, and last but not least, our leader, director for all the special programs and services, Christina Calderon. And I am so pleased and grateful today that we have the Department of Behavioral Health here and two wonderful, phenomenal speakers to present for us. Allow me to introduce Amber Sherwood and Antoine Etienne.
Hey.
All right. So you guys take it away, and thank you so much for being here.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to come and hang out with us so we can discuss some pretty neat things. Please, by all means, just crunch and munch and do what you got to do, because lunch is very important. So we don't want y'all sleeping, passing out, because we got items we can throw at you the way here.
Yeah.
So, they're soft. They're not going to leave a mark. So go ahead.
So my name is Amber Sherwood. I am a marriage and family therapist associate at Department of Behavioral Health, which means that I'm pre-licensed. I also, so in addition to just seeing individual clients, I see families, I see children, and I work with the ADS program, which is Alcohol and Drug Services, as a clinician for co-occurring disorders. So what our goal is with that is to be able to educate, at least in my capacity, the clients that are struggling with a substance abuse disorder about the mental health side of it as well. So it is a psychoeducation group that I run on co-occurring disorders, and we also include a family group with that.
And my background, I have an extensive background in those who have severe mental illnesses. So I was working with individuals who were, when they were shutting down all the state facilities, and they were integrating them into the community. I was part of the integration team to get them in housing, and then this is once again, this is when I first got out of college. So here I am going from your nice anxiety type of cases to severe schizophrenia, schizoaffective. So I got dropped right into the fire. So it was a learning experience, but it was a great experience because now I've seen the extreme of the extreme. So it gives me an understanding how to work. I had 184 clients, and pretty much it's like herding cats all day. You yell, scream, spit, don't poop, all those kind of things. So I know that you all don't have the worry about that, being that this is a different capacity, but some of the behaviors that they exhibit are pretty extreme. So it's kind of like when it happens, it's like, what do you do and where do I go with it? And you do the best that you can. So blessings that we got invited so that we can have some additional tools in your tool belt so that you are able to feel comfortable when you have to address a situation in the classroom that to most would want to tuck and run. It's like, I can't, this is way above my pay grade and out of my scope of practice. So.
Yeah, and so that's what we deal with at Department of Behavioral Health is a lot of more of the severe cases, tier 3 is what they call them. So we do have schizophrenic clients, schizoaffective, bipolar with psychotic features. Those are some of the more severe cases.
Extreme depression?
Yeah, extreme depression, suicidal ideations. We do 5150 holds.
Yes.
We were certified for that. So
we're pretty much like the hodgepodge. Yes. I mean, we matrix every day, all day, and then we pop a lock in between.
There we go.
And then pass it on. So, so it's a lot of, it to us, it's the norm. And it's a blessing that we're able to come here because the norm isn't your norm. So when somebody says, oh man, this guy, this blah, 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 like, well, just do this and this and this. And, but the thing is that I forget about the idea that many haven't been exposed to it.
And so one of the most important things that we have to remember as clinicians is that we are dealing in human services, and these are human beings that are experiencing real crises. And so not stepping out of that when they are having a crisis. and being with, empathizing with. And none of us got on this side of the table from going through life in a field of daisies, right? So we've all met our triumphs and our tribulations and had our, areas that were not so lovely, and maybe even experienced some of the depression, anxiety, and so forth and so on. So just remembering, that we are compassionate. And one of the beauties of working at the Barstow Clinic is that the team there is very people-driven,
Yes.
and in an interpersonal approach is what we use. And so it's really an honor to work there, and under the mentorship of Miss Kimberly Olson.
Phenomenal. And then the combination of the culture of Barstow plays it. It's interesting. I mean, I used to drive through Barstow all the time. I never thought of anything but that, we have the outlets. Right. And there's a train for McDonald's. That was my look of Barstow till I started working here in 2017, and then seeing the influx of individuals come through the door, and it was like its own hodgepodge. It's just a different. I worked in San Bernardino. I worked in Riverside. But this Barstow, even though it's small, is just this different culture and different type of environment, and the individuals who are part of it are from outside. This is like supposed to be the golden land of opportunity, and I'm like, what brochure are you looking at? Because I need to see it too, so I can get on the same level. Because many come from different places, feeling that I can make it in Barstow, even though there's nothing to support that. So therefore, that's where the mental illness kicks in, especially a lot of it is through substance abuse. So therefore, they start kicking in with, I'm depressed now. I have no money. I'm stuck. I'm homeless. The things of those kind of natures, and then that's drugs, and it's everywhere you go. So therefore, that combined with the deterioration of the mental status, it creates a different type of assistance that we have to provide, because we have to weed out. Okay, when's the last time you used meth? Or when's the last time you smoked crack, or those kind of things, because those are some of the platforms that excel the mental psychosis. So, so I think we're going to open up with a.
So we were going to do an icebreaker. I like to do these in my groups, just to kind of get everybody relaxed and feeling good, because this is how we roll, right?
Yeah. This is how we do it.
So we like to sing, right? So just going around the room, just think of maybe a song that you listened to when you were younger, something that you rocked out to, something that you enjoyed, like back in the day, New Kids on the Block, right? She's Don't Go Girl. What else,
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah. Right? So those are songs that I rocked out to when I was younger, and my kids are like, New Kids on the Block, who's that?
Yes,
I'm like, oh,
go girl.
Yeah. I'll sing it for you.
In 2010, story, I went to a concert. They had when they were coming back out, and I was a little bit up in Sacramento, and my coworkers I used to work with, they hey, we need a male to go with us, so we can protect us. Blah, blah, blah. So I'll be like, y'all try to cover it, keep undercover. Like, oh, kids. So I got there. I was the loudest, obnoxious little. I went back to my teen. It was hilarious. So. Yeah, I used to rock after them, so I'll put it out there. So you want to go around? Who wants to start?
Who would like to start?
Oh, you're going to have me
there
start.
We go.
A song that I used to rock out to? I don't know. Well, I know like one of my karaoke songs was You're So Vain. You probably think the song is about you. You're so vain. Yeah, that one. I can't sing, though.
Antoine's got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's awesome. What about you, brother?
Still on Mr. Brightside by the Killers.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Nice selection. Man.
Oh, man. I can't pick. I don't
One,
know.
I know.
Right? I know. I can't just pick one. But probably the first thing that comes to mind is Fade to Black, Metallica.
Ah.
Yes.
I couldn't do the hair because I had afro, but
Still have bang.
Yes, there it is.
The only one I can remember is what's called Cherry Cola by Savage Garden.
Oh, yes.
That's a great one.
Right.
Right, say.
I'm a Weezer junkie, so anything Weezer.
Oh yeah,
Buddy
I like
Holly.
Weezer.
Yeah.
Pain Jimmy Euro. See.
Oh. Hey, can you sing a lyric for us? So we can...
So there's a bunch of them, but I particularly like Zoom. I'm real mellow. I'm not good with artists or anything who sing Zoom. Zoom?
Zoom?
I don't
It's
know.
like jazz or is it like?
We're gonna Google this.
It's art.
It's R&B? Well,
Oh, okay, there you
Google
go.
it. We're not going to do Wikipedia, but we'll do Google it.
We Google it.
We Google it.
Commodore.
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Me, the first thing that came to my mind is Flow Rider.
Ah,
Ah, Mary.
yeah, Mary used to roll back in the day.
The songs I used to listen back in the days is more like I used to listen to more hip hop
Right on.
from LA. So Snoop Dogg, Eminem music.
Hey, man. That's what was different music there,
That's where the
man.
music, the real hip hop.
Right on, brother.
Tupac.
Yes, sir.
That's where I grew up listening to.
Right on, man.
Was the Zoom the Commodores?
Yeah, the Commodore.
Oh yeah.
What's his name? What's the Afro? What's his name? Lionel Richie.
Oh, yeah.
Anything by the Spice Girls. That was my
That's the lady jam for sure.
You don't want to be my friend. Right
I was born and raised in Mexico, but my dad used to listen to the 70s kind of music, Prince, Queen,
on. Ah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right on.
so all of those songs.
That's cool.
I thought of two. It was Knocking on Heaven's Door and Hotel California. Those are the songs. I just put them on.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
I was trying to think of one. I know in high school, when I rode with my brother, it was Metallica and Guns N' Roses. And when I was in my car, I remember a lot of jokes.
It's the person of the month. Wake up, wake up. It's the person of the month. Yes.
We got the guy in the red.
Trying to hide over there.
I know, sneaking in like.
I was trying to get the question.
What is the question?
What's your jam when you were younger and that you still rock out to now?
That I listen to right now. Favorite song. Okay.
First that come to mind.
Those are pretty dudes, man. That's awesome.
So part of the reason that we do that
I think-
also
I think
is
there's one
just,
more.
oh, I'm sorry, I have one more.
And we have one over there. She's kind of off to the side.
Oh, yeah. She like, I got the side in sheets.
Well, I was kind of in the same crew too a little bit, but Scary Kids I don't know if anybody's heard of that, or like when Panic at the Disco first came out.
Man, that's like ground level floor level.
Or AC/DC.
Right on.
So was it what was the question exactly?
Oh man, so the song you used to rock out to when you're younger, man, and when it came on, you just.
All right. So the first song that came to mind, my name is Elias Valencia, by the way.
Hey, nice to meet you, brother.
The first song that came to mind, really, that I used to listen to back in the day was "All My Life" by KCI JoJo.
Oh my.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, oh, man. That got me in a lot of trouble back then. we're not going to talk about that part of it.
Oh,
so, just say no because it gets you in trouble. But I appreciate everybody sharing. It's
Yes,
pretty neat.
thank you guys. Thank you for sharing that. So part of the reason we do that is just to kind of get the room loosened up, but also just to notice the diversity, right? The diversity in the room and how even with something as simple as a song, we are connected and it brings back these fond memories. And so that's something that you can use with your students. Two of the things that we strive for in humanity that are primal instincts are connection and a sense of belonging. So to feel that you're important, to feel that you're part of, to feel that you're connected to somebody. That doesn't stop with our families and our friends. That continues on into the education scene as well and into our rooms as therapists. a lot of the people that come to see us that are having crises here maybe just don't have that safe connection with anybody, and don't know how to maintain a safe connection with themselves. So that was kind of why we were doing that.
And a lot of individuals as well are ashamed that they may have a mental illness.
Correct.
They don't want to announce it for the idea there's so much of a stigma behind it. So they just don't even mention it. You know, it's not the idea you don't need to go around and advertise, but it's still the idea of communication, as Amber was talking about, so that there is an understanding that, okay, this student has a disability, so let me keep an eye out, versus when it happens, it's like it's explosion. It's like a 0 to 2,000. There's not even a build up to it. It's just like bam, and there it is. So the community that we work with in the county, we're teaching those skills to communicate, to say, hey, you know, I get nervous because, or hey, sometimes I hear voices and so I'm sitting in class and hey, so we're working with that piece. But until we can get them up to speed, we figure we'll work on the other angle so that everybody else can be aware of, okay, this is some of the things that Amber and Antoine talked about, and these are some of the things we can look for when we're in the classroom, just in the event that somebody's stress level gets to a certain level. Mental illness is actually pretty huge here in the United States. I was doing statistics, and in regard, I love statistics. I don't like math, but I love statistics. Yeah, 2 + 2 is 5. You got to carry the 1. So, 5 U.S. adults live with mental illness. That's pretty much in 2017. That's 1 and 5. Excuse me. That's 46.6 million in 2017 statistics that live with mental illness, and that's various conditions from moderate to severe. And also, they have categories according to the NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Institution. I think that's right. I can't read my writing. So anyway,
National Institution for Mental Health.
There we go.
There it is.
She got me. So, so with that, they have 2 categories that they have broken it up to. They have anything mental illness and serious mental illnesses. Being that, like ourselves, we work with different tiers. Most counties work with tier 3, which is your severe.
I don't really know.
Whoa, that was weird.
I'm hearing voices. I need help.
Do not pass those. That was okay.
As long as you guys heard them, we're good.
Right? Okay. Woohoo! Thank you, Jesus. Come back. All right. So, as I was saying before Siri want to interrupt, we deal with tier 3, which is more severe. But being that we're so isolated up here in Barstow, we deal with tier 1, 2, and 3. So that breakup of any mental illness like anxiety and depression, mild level to moderate, then of course up to the higher level of severity, which is your bipolar, your schizophrenic, and so on and so forth.
Let's see. So, how do we define a mental illness? It's usually defined into mild, moderate, or severe with the impairments. And the impairment has to be in one of life's functioning domains. School, work, legal, occupation, what else? Family.
Yes.
So when there's an impairment in one of life's 4 domains, we look at that as far as the severity. Make sense? So if it's just, well, I got laid off, but I'm able to find another job. I was feeling kind of bad about that. I was sad. I was, isolating. I was doing some depressive behaviors. I may have had moderate depression. Whereas I have major depressive disorder. It's been prevalent for, is it 2 months?
Yes.
Yes, 2 months and 2-week intervals, correct? And there's suicidal ideation. So there's an episode and there's severity in them. And then we look at, so that's one of life's domains, right? We don't want anybody to kill themselves. We want them to be able to function in all of life's domains.
So I have some statistics, once again, like statistics, but I like math. But the first numbers that we were talking about, wow, it's weird to look like that. Let me move over here. Yeah, I don't like sitting down, sorry. So, as you see, this is a few numbers. We don't have to go over them all, but you have the handout just in case you need to reference some of the things you want to discuss with other peers. But as we can see, hold on, I found out that the little green thing, man, that is so.
You guys shouldn't have gave them that.
So as you see at the first line, 43.8 million or 18.5%. 1 out of 25 adults, not 4% have serious mental illness, and youth is rising because the day of mom staying home is gone, and the internet and social media has just increased. The numbers have increased in our office alone in this area is ridiculous, and also working with CFS. It's alarming how high the levels are going, and then also what they're being diagnosed with as well. I mean, most children. Oh, excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Most children with ADHD, that would have been the norm. Now some of them are coming in with schizophrenia type of characteristics, or deep depression at age 8 or 9. So it's alarming, and this is our future. So mental health has not seen or is not prepared for this increase. And then they come to college. So this is the part where hopefully that we can start a trend with other colleges and say, hey, let's check out some other resources. But once again, these are just some statistics. Does anybody mind if I go on? I want to be polite. Okay. Again, more statistics. But this is at the level of college. So 75% of a lifetime cases of mental health conditions begin at age 24. And then 1 in 4 young adults between the age 18 and 24 have been diagnosed. And more than 25% college students have been diagnosed or treated for professional mental illness or conditions within the past year. So as you can see, these numbers are also as taken as of 2016. These particular numbers. So in 2019, they may have tripled or even doubled or even tripled based off the new statistics that I just found this morning. But this gives you a little snafu of what we're dealing with in the public sector. And just to think about, this school is a conservatively sized school. So imagine the Yales or Penn States, and so that number, and within that mix are this population of individuals, and then there's other schools that you aren't allowed to have mental illness. If you can, you won't make the scholarship, or you won't be able to be part of that community because you have a mental illness. So now there's a lot of discrimination, and then the discrimination just trickles down to others because word of mouth and networking. So this is just give you a little snafu of what some of the things that nationwide we're dealing with, and then also, I'm not sure the population here on this particular campus, but just give you a little idea.
So really quick before he moves on, so 73% of students living with mental health condition experience a mental health crisis. Now, what I found was interesting is my kids are younger. I have a 16 or 14-year-old, and what I asked them was, if you were experiencing depression at school, if you were experiencing anxiety, if you maybe had a suicidal thought, do you have somebody that you felt was safe at school to talk to? The answer was no. They didn't feel like they had a teacher they connected with that understood them. They didn't feel like they wouldn't be judged. They wouldn't be made fun of. Before I came to DBH, I worked in a wraparound program where we provided services in the field. Excuse me. And probably 98% of my clients that were middle school or higher would ask me not to go to their school. Or if I did, not to wear my badge. So there's a definite disconnect in kids being able to feel safe and develop that connection with their mentors, to feel like they're safe, that they can be vulnerable and that they can come to you with their issues. Now, that doesn't go away as they get older. It intensifies, because if it wasn't safe for them when they were younger, it's definitely not safe now. And they've learned to live in this mind space that people just aren't safe. And so I'm going to try to deal with my pain, my hurt, my crisis, all by myself. And that's dangerous.
And in addition, you have to think about cultural pieces of it. So you have individuals who have a strong cultural background that the mental health services is not even addressed because of their cultural beliefs or religious beliefs. So then you have, that number. I'm trying to find that particular number, but therefore those are the ones that have no idea that they have a mental illness, and then they're expected to function in this world. So the high expectations from their parents to say, hey, you're going to go to college. Hey, you're going to do all these things. And I remember growing up, it was that label of, he's just crazy. That's his junior. That was the normal in my community. He'd be all right, he'd grow out of it, that kind of thing. But then come to find out, now that I'm in the depression I am, some had schizophrenia, some had bipolar disorder, some had deep depression, all these other PTSD especially, through growing up some of the hard areas. I grew up in Missouri. So so all that being ignored, and then they have expectations from their family. Say some of them are the first they ever go to college. So they have that burden of trying to fulfill that, but don't even understand why they are unable to function through their own life. So that's where the crisis piece come in, because some of them are not even trained to even identify a crisis, because once again, you keep it in the family. You don't discuss anything outside the family. So therefore, you're not going to come to school and say, hey, I have this situation going on, because you keep it to yourself. So that's one of the things about education that is huge for us.
One other thing you just touched on was PTSD. So what I've learned in working with substance abuse clients is that a lot of them don't even acknowledge the trauma in childhood because they don't think of it as PTSD. They think of soldiers in war having PTSD. That's it, right? So college students, sexual assaults, date rape, maybe inappropriate relationships with a staff member, rumors going around, destroying reputations, those kinds of things. Also, the rumors, not so much. It's more a threat of life or a witness to. So living in a community where there's high violence, right, which are some areas of Barstow, where kids are subject to domestic violence, community violence, drug use, things like that, where they're in fear of their life, they can develop PTSD. So some of those crises where we get into later, where 7% of college students have seriously considered suicide, and we have suicide thoughts, and probably nobody in this room has never thought, oh, things would be better if I just maybe wasn't here, right? Those are kind of those fleeting thoughts. Life gets really hard, we have those fleeting thoughts. That's not what we're talking about when we say suicidality. We're talking about a plan, a mean, and a motive. So very, very specific as to, I want to kill myself on Tuesday with a gun at my boyfriend's house. I have a plan, I have a way to do that, I have a gun, and I'm going to do it. So those are the suicidalities that we're talking about.
And then some hear the idea when a student says, I want to kill myself, go straight to the extreme, because we're not trained to identify what that means. So as Amber was saying, there's a different steps in asking specific questions. So tell me, what are you going to do? What does that look like if you do that? So therefore you get a piece of understanding of, is it just I'm communicating because I'm frustrated, or am I actually have the intent to say, I don't want to be here anymore? So that's the thing about trying to funnel through the level of response that you need to take. Because I'm sure many of you have heard many students talk, especially, being stressed out, because of labs or testing or life or financial aid doesn't go through or something. And their whole thought is, or you may overhear the people talk about, oh yeah, Mark was talking about he wanted to kill himself, so on and so forth. So say if you ever are addressed with that, just ask those specific questions of, hey, so, and like I said, don't put it in a way where it's going to be very offensive to them. It's like, hey, it sounds pretty hard. What do you plan on doing? So if they have a plan and there's certain numbers they can call, I do apologize, I didn't have the numbers, but I will email them so that you can have all the necessary numbers. And there's also a suicide hotline. There's also this little card that I ordered that has all the steps of what to look for in an idea of suicide versus ideation. So, Amber touched on a good point. Suicide with 7% here at the bottom, seriously considering. So that was a great segue into that. Once again, these are just a little bit more stats. I don't want to bore you with that because y'all do stats all day.
So suicide is a real concern. Learning, maybe even downloading an assessment, so you know what questions to ask. It's not to say that you're going to do this assessment, you're licensed and you're available to do this, but at least you can talk to somebody and ask those questions as help is coming. Right?
And be prepared.
Be prepared.
All right, so this is a description of some of the mental disorders that we were talking about. So schizophrenia, many have the idea of, well, let me stop and back up. Can somebody tell me what they think schizophrenia is?
I got a prize.
Is that a prize? Oh, boy, prize in the house. So can anybody tell me what their idea of what schizophrenia, what you've heard schizophrenia is? There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, worthless.
Right on, right on.
Paranoid.
Paranoid, right on.
Different personality.
Right on. That's one of the parts of it.
Distorted perception of reality.
Yes. Yes. Has anybody here on campus dealt with anybody or worked with anybody that's schizophrenic?
We
Okay.
have schizophrenic students on campus.
Okay, right on.
So schizophrenia doesn't have different personalities. They may hear voices, different sounding voices. To them may sound like different people, or there may be a number of voices. They don't have different personalities. They are one person.
Yes. And so think of it like the most annoying song you have ever heard in your lifetime, and you can't stop it. So I went to a seminar, hearing voices, and we had to put on these headphones.
Let's do it with them.
Oh, you
I don't have the headphones, but let's see if you can write something down. We'll just go by their ear.
Are you gonna do?
So
I don't have fresh
maybe one
words.
of you guys can just like write a note, like maybe a grocery list. Who can do that? Anybody?
Yeah, there we go. That right there.
You got the paraphernalia.
You're silly.
You're ugly.
Stupid. You can't do
Kill
this.
yourself.
You're horrible.
You can't concentrate.
Why don't you just kill
You
yourself?
can't do anything
You
right.
suck. Why are you even here?
Yeah.
You're not even smart enough to be here.
You can't do this.
Stupid.
Just stop doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Was it easy to concentrate?
And that was PG. That was PG. So this is amplified day 24/7.
All day long.
All day. And they have to navigate through this. So here they are in class. And here's a lesson being taught. You suck. You're not gonna get this. They should be the
Everybody's
best.
looking at you.
You're stupid. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Go home. Yeah. And they're sitting there like, and they start to intensify because some of them don't even have the tools to even control it.
Or
Now,
they
some-
start talking back to them.
Yes.
Now
You
all
just
you
be-
guys are looking at them, right?
Yes. You be quiet. Stop it. I can be here if I want to. Well, you know what? Down the street there was a sausage, and then there was a tank, and I like rainbows, and those are the type of incoherent thoughts that come out. So I mean, we can read the words all day, but the actuality of it, I'm more like in your face kind of thing, because these are just words. To see or hear or envision the idea that you have to still function at what is considered normal by certain standards is where, we come into play to teach the skill to help them feel, I don't like the word normal, help them feel that they can integrate.
Function.
Yes.
Function and
My normal, your normal is not the same.
So this isn't not necessarily mental illness is induced by drugs. This can be like onset when you're even in your 20s, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Bam.
right?
Yes.
Like out of nowhere.
Now,
Yes.
psychosis, though, can be something that's induced over many, 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 many years of drug use,
Yes.
right? Because
Right.
now we have different damage going on to our brains and our neurotransmitters and all that good stuff. So it's no one reason. There's several reasons why this could happen.
Right,
It could be
right.
genetic, environmental.
And we have met the individuals who had that onset at 2022. And as a matter of fact, I had a gentleman who was here at college, and his parents brought him down to the office because he was a straight A student. Everything's working fine and likable, had career oriented, all those kind of things. And then literally a flip of the switch while he was in class, the world came crashing in. So think of who here are parents. You have to come and pick up your child from school and they're speaking incoherent. They don't know who you are. They walk around in a daze. Then on top of that, you're going to have to let go of the idea that they may not be able to continue those hopes and dreams that parents set for the child. So not only do we have to work with the individual, we have to work with the family to also educate them on what this looks like from all aspects. Because then they have to go through a mourning process. They feel that this ends. And then unfortunately, what occurs many times is that the family just pulls them out of life and almost like sticks them in a hole because they don't know what to do, or they feel that their life is over and those kind of things. So the access program, well, when I first heard about it was, oh man, it was brilliant, because I've been to schools where we appreciate you. I find to you, good luck. Here's the number to mental health. And that was it. And so therefore the career of the individual was over with. And they would come to me, as a therapist, like, hey, I could do it. I could do it. And I'm like talking to the school and so on and so forth. And there was no liaison that could assist with that gap or the bridge. So this is schizophrenia. So how was that experience for you when you were hearing the barrage?
It was just very confusing. Like, I knew I had to do this, yes, but then it just, like, this is something simple I should be able to remember, but then I just kind of like went blank. Right. It was just, yeah.
Just wanted to shut off and go, just get away from it. Right?
And one of the things that we didn't even scream out to you that they hear quite often is to harm themselves. Kill yourself. Kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. Hurt yourself, kill yourself. And so that on top of it.
Yes. Bipolar disorder. So bipolar disorder has a bad rap because there's moments where everybody has been diagnosed with bipolar. And individuals figure because I'm angry because they put pickles on my burger, I'm bipolar. Oh man,
I'm a moody woman. I am bipolar.
Because you cut me off in front of traffic, I'm bipolar. So you better watch out. So the realistic version of bipolar is polar opposites. That's the true meaning of it. So you have an individual who's at baseline and they dip way below, like real, like Eeyore. And the next, they're to the roof, and the behaviors are bizarre, and it's for a long time. So we have individuals who will spend every last bit of money or are engaged in high-risk behaviors, and then when they come down, then they have the realization of what happened, and they come so low that it's pretty much what Dr. Olson described as being in the basement. And then you have, that's what bipolar disorder in a nutshell. There's really been, as I looked at the description, there's really haven't been any true studies and understanding of it, because it's like I said, was a catch-all kind of phrase. Like at one time it was ADHD, now it's bipolar. So, but to give you the understanding, because sometimes the switching could be a mood disorder. Somebody could be going through depression and it comes out to irritability, but it doesn't mean that, hey, he's bipolar or she's bipolar. So.
Right.
Ooh, the point.
Okay. So tell me, if you look here under mania and hypomania, what do these symptoms kind of mimic? So increased need drugs. There, yes. Do I have another one? So yes.
You get ice in your water.
So what happens is people come in for an assessment, and I have to be able to assess if they're high on methamphetamine or if they're having a manic episode. They will come in, people that have bipolar disorder often will get stabilized on their medication. And then once they're feeling better, they stop. And then I have somebody very, very manic or super depressed. And so then they don't feel the need to start the medication again until that episode happens. So hypomania is just a less intense form of mania. So, and it doesn't last as long, correct?
No, it doesn't last.
Yes, it doesn't last as long. So mania is 7 days. Hypomania can do less than that.
Usually about 3 to 4
days, yeah.
Is what hypomania is.
So very talkative, need for less sleep, very I can do anything. I can buy whatever I want, I can sleep with whoever I want, I am goal oriented, I need to clean my whole house.
I am Superman.
I'm gonna sell all my stuff, and then when the mania wears off, the consequences come rolling in, and then the depression leaves. Okay. You wanna keep going?
Good. You think? Okay. Enjoy this. It's awesome.
Okay. I feel so powerful.
I'm about to say that. I got the power. You know?
Oh, we're in a little sweat month.
Yeah, right. I got a degree on today, so and you see why I work in mental health. As I told people earlier, I'm not only a therapist, but I'm also a client. So they just gave me this pretty badge and one part to make me feel special. So anxiety. So this is some of our lower tier level. Anxiety can increase depending on the severity because of, once again, the trauma, or sometimes trauma induced, or sometimes individuals just have the idea that the world is against them, there's phobias attached to it. But here we go with the anxiety studies found, 2013, I should have got some more current. Sorry about that, y'all. Y'all teachers, so I'm gonna make sure I do it right. So, and it wasn't from Wikipedia. Anybody? So, 2013 found that anxiety is the most common problem among college students, and it's prevalent. You know, there's so many different factors that I saw when I was looking up the information. I couldn't even put it in. It would take like 4 slides of so many different combinations of factors that create anxiety. So some of the stuff, I just wanted to put some of the examples of what some of the anxiety disorders that we have. So we have general anxiety disorder, which is your common level, which could be chronic, it could be minute, but that's your most common. But then we have OCD. Now, OCD also has a misunderstanding as well. So some individuals have characteristics. So if the paper's this, they have to turn it like this. So that's, you know, I like papers certain ways. I like the speed limit to be 90, stuff like that. So I just make me OCD. That just makes me breaking the law, rebel with a cause, without a cause. But OCD looks like the idea that they will come in 100 times.
Or they're leaving the classroom maybe, and they have to before they can leave.
Yes. And if it's interrupted, they'll start again.
It's like that Monk. Have you seen Monk?
He's perfect example. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Yeah. So there are students who you may have came across that may have obsessive compulsive disorders, with that, working with a mental health specialist is the best way to be able to come up with a game plan, but like ourselves, to help with that, because unfortunately, there's really a go-to-all coping mechanism that you can work with that. And then we, of course, as Amber talked about earlier, PTSD, and that's on the rise now. PTSD, once again, was the start of is anybody dealing with war or law enforcement or emergency services and first responders. But just the idea of anything traumatic that shocks your system. So I had a motorcycle accident in August of 2000, this past year. And I went over a hill in the middle of God's country, and they didn't have signs that said the road ended. So I'm coming over the hill doing 55. Okay. And I mean, maybe try to gauge the distance. Maybe 3 lengths of the room, coming over here doing 100. And I wrecked. So now, or then I had a lot of problems with when I go over a hill and I can't see, I flip out. So riding in a car for me was extremely difficult. For the idea of, is the road going to end? Are we going to wreck? I can't see. And that's just a minute level of it. So think about those who a door slams and they think it's somebody kicking in the door because they got robbed. Or they hear a loud screech or a noise because the house was vandalized and an alarm was going off. You know, those kind of things is what PTSD is. And I'm glad that they are stretching the PTSD over different variety of levels, because once again, many didn't think, they labeled it as anxiety. But the truth of the matter is, because of the shock to your system, any kind of trauma, is PTSD. So, so I'm sure that many of you have worked with individuals who may have PTSD in your classroom. And it's one of those things of some of the skills is trying to bring them back to present. So their mind goes straight to that incident and straight to that moment, and they're living it right there.
The flashback.
Exactly. And they go into the desk or they drop it and cover. So helping them bring it back to present, asking questions like, hey, where are you at right now? Hey, feel the desk, feel the chair, listen to the sounds of the room. Okay, where are you at right now? To help them bring it back. Hey, let's walk outside, or you know, those kind of things, because it's so real life to them. And reading about it, once again, I didn't have a full understanding of what PTSD was, because I had trauma in my life, but I tucked it away. But when I had the motorcycle accident, it was like true understanding, like, and then anxiety coupled with that. Oh, it was a beast. So
another thing about anxiety disorder that you'll probably run into as educators at the college is panic attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, so panic attacks are very, very real for the person experiencing them.
Heart attack kind of symptoms.
Yeah, I feel like they're having a heart attack. They can't breathe.
Yes.
Dizziness, shakiness,
sweating. Yes.
And just really not, like you said, not being present, not being in the moment. So it could be something post-traumatic that came up for them, having a flashback or
test anxiety.
Correct.
That's another one that's been known to increase panic attacks, is the idea that say if there's high expectations of the parents and they aren't good test takers, and now they have to sit and take a test. In high school they had help, but here they have to be adults. So now they have this panic attack and they kick in, and so panic attacks are severe. So
some of the things that we do for that is grounding exercises, learning some breathing exercises. But first and foremost, identifying triggers and body sensations as warning signs. Okay, so if they can identify the warning signs before the full-on panic attack happens, then we have a better chance of bringing them back into the present. So
please go ahead.
So just for the instructors here, when students come into Access and see me as their counselor, we talk about that. Like, if it's a mental health related disorder, what are your triggers? What does it feel like? Do you feel butterflies? Do you feel someone punching your stomach? What do you
feel first, right?
Yeah, and then we talk about, like, do you get goosebumps? Do you sweat? Do you
we're done.
So
okay, so thank y'all for the meeting today.
Faculty, though, on their accommodation plan, there will be a note that says, student may leave and return to class as part of disability management. I cannot list any disability on that form, but just know if that student has that listed and they know what their triggers are, odds are good they're just getting up and going to refocus and change their mindset to be able to attend your course.
Right on.
People that have post-traumatic stress as well can be triggered by something as easy as a scent.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So if they were raped in an alley and they smell somebody's obsession cologne walk by them, and that's what their attacker wore, that quick.
Very evocative.
Okay. Yes. So smells the strongest sense that we have.
All right, ADHD. Do we need to go over this? I think I'll go over it if we need to.
No.
I mean, ADHD is prevalent. I mean, I have ADHD, as you probably can tell. I got a little bit. ADHD. Any questions? No? All right.
just really quick though, I think that it's important to hit on the fact that if you have somebody with ADHD in your courses, that you kind of adopt maybe a Montessori kind of style of learning where they're not just sitting in one spot for too long, that they're able to kind of move from task to task because they can't do it. No. They can play a video game all day long because it's goal oriented, right? Like this is fun. I'm gonna finish something here. This is like what I want to do. It's attracting me. But you want me to read 20 pages of Catcher in the Rye? It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. And then I'm going to feel like a failure. And I'm going to feel, like an outcast because I can't do that. So breaking it down maybe into smaller chunks.
And impulsivity, that's one thing that's huge because there's really no filter. I mean, their brains are going 3,000 miles per hour. So therefore, their impulsivity to just blurt out in class or just get up and, and talk to somebody is just like that. So that's like kind of like bringing reminders of, hey, do you need to take a break? Or, some people just can't sit for more than 2 or 3 minutes at a time. I know in the college setting it's different because, when I worked at elementary schools, we were able to give activities. Hey, why don't you go take this paper to the office for me here, or those kind of things. So maybe working with ma'am here with some kind of different type of tools that work in your classroom will be beneficial if you do come across an individual who has ADHD, because once again, universities are totally different.
What I've noticed with the kids that we work with, they do well in like a leadership role.
Yes.
So if I have them in group and I have them maybe share something or teach something to the other kids, they seem to really come back and focus. Yeah. And then their decision making is not so impulsive. But they do understand that there are going to be rules. And I limit those to at least 3 and then just kind of repeat them constantly.
Over and over.
And what the consequence will be.
Over and over.
Over and over.
You say over and over.
I don't want to cut you short, but we
Yes,
have like
yes,
5
minutes.
minutes.
So we get to the meat and potatoes of everything. So strategies. This is what we're here for. So these are listed some of the strategies to assist with all types of disorders. So we have, like I said, preferred seating. So the idea that somebody has PTSD sitting by a door in case they have to escape. If they sit facing you or sit away from other students. Additional breaks, separate exam rooms, written exams and presentations. Some with ADHD using a tape recorder is another way. Deadlines, extensions, and completing work at home. So these are some little bit of strategies that worked for me when I work with students in school.
Most of those are also listed as accommodations on their accommodation plan. So when the instructors get them, it's already there.
Got that. Boom,
the only thing
boom.
we do not do here is we do not require deadline extensions.
Okay.
We're not allowed to alter the fundamentals of your courses. So that would be an individual professor session.
So one of the things that I did pass out, because we don't have much time, is the safe coping skills sheet, front and back. What I do with almost every one of my clients is I pass out the sheet. And the way that they remember it is, and I learned this in the training, I call it the freaking sheet. Do you have your freaking sheet?
Yeah, right on.
I do have my freaking sheet. Cool, let's bring it out. And so with this paper that I gave you guys as well, what I would do is have them list to me how many unsafe behaviors can you think of in 2 minutes that you engage in. Write them down. So substance abuse, unprotected sex, cutting, running away, drinking and driving, whatever, right? Whatever it is that they're engaging in. Then I have them pick one unsafe behavior, the most unsafe. Okay, so I have a substance abuse problem, I use needles to share them. That's my most unsafe behavior. Locate 4 safe coping skills inside the unsafe behavior. So when we look at these coping skills, if you find, what number is it? It's on here, I don't know. It's avoiding avoidable suffering. So that's an unsafe coping skill inside of that unsafe behavior. What they're doing with using heroin and sharing needles is they're avoiding avoidable suffering in their life. So I'm going to get high off of heroin. I'm going to use needles to avoid avoidable suffering. I'm going to detach from my emotional pain. I'm going to self-nurture. I want to notice what I can control. So I can control putting heroin in my mouth. I can do that. I can't control feeling like crap. So then it makes sense, right? It makes sense to want to detach from your emotional pain. So I'm not telling them, hey, I get that. You shouldn't feel bad. Yeah, using drugs. I'm not doing that. It makes sense that you would want to detach from your pain. I get it. So then I look at the trauma thing. A lot of people who use drugs and alcohol try to reduce emotional pain by numbing their emotions. That's their theme, is fight, flight, or freeze, right? They're numbing out. Then I can use this and go, however, continued substance abuse will not eliminate your emotional pain. Are you willing to at least look at this sheet with me and find some coping skills that you think you can use? And then we have the agreement. Yeah, I can do that. So your goal would be to try to practice these coping skills for the next week, 2 weeks till I see you. Let's come back and talk about why they worked or why they didn't, and how you can be safer. So you're not going to stop using the drugs. I get it. You're going to still shoot up with heroin. I'm not trying to stop you from doing that. What I'm trying to help you do is do it in a safer way until you feel safe enough to stop. Make sense? Yeah. So this little sheet here can be used kind of to come to that, to at least introduce them to the friggin' sheet, right? And use it. You know, you can use these as grounding techniques in, you know, starting your classroom. You know, let's just think of a consequence today of not doing our homework. Really see the impact of tomorrow or next week or next year. What would that be like for you? Right? So you can start that, some of these coping skills in your classroom.
So let's move on to the avoidance. This is the last piece here. So the avoidance would be criticizing, frowning, arguing, yelling, raising your voice, threatening, talking down to, scolding, lecturing them in front of other people, those kind of. Hey, nice to meet you, brother. Appreciate you coming out, man. So these are some of the things that intensify the disorder or some of the symptoms.
Why people don't ask for help.
Exactly, because this is some of the main reasons. So something that I learned a long time ago is changing the manner in which we react to the behavior improves everyone's experience, and you can change the student's behavior by changing our own behavior.
That's right. That's what we're in control of.
Yes.
Is how we respond and our choices, not in our students or in our clients.
Yes. And did see you went over some great coping skills, and they're on your handout, Paul, as I talk too much. So, but a negative mind will never give you a positive mind. So. So there we go. Questions, comments, concerns, feedback? I'm sorry, it was so quick.
We probably have a lot of questions.
We could go on and on.
Some of them have to get to their classes.
Yes.
But let's thank them.
Thank you. So if you have any additional questions, we have our card. Then also please pass them to the ladies, and we're open to send you back a message or whatever needed.
We do Wednesdays on Thursdays and Tuesdays from 8 o'clock to.
So 8 o'clock, usually about noon.
Yeah.
Is it a walk-in?
First come, first serve.
Yes, first come,
We
first serve.
usually only have room for like from 8 up to 6. So.
Yeah, we do have a flyer in our office.
Oh,
you guys are one of the referrals that we.
Yes.
Yeah, ahead of the
And we have a drug and alcohol program.
Yes.
Yeah.
With medical assisted treatment.
And they are going to start a family mental health educational program here that's going to be hosted down. So if you have family members, send them along the way.
Awesome.
So, but I greatly appreciate y'all time.
Thank
I hope it was informative, and hope y'all will get something out of this.
Thank you very much. And as a token of our
Oh,
appreciation, special programs and services, we have a bag and gifts for each.
Yay!
Okay. Compliments of all special programs.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
We're just so grateful that you came here, and I know, gosh, we could have like a 2 hour.
Yes, yes,
I know,
yes.
I feel like there's so much
information.
Yes.
I'd like to just come visit your area.
Oh, yes, please.
On Wednesdays, usually it's family. We do our staff meetings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
I thought, wait, how did I thought I